This is number 8 in the series of little journeys down the southwest branch following the Five-Star Trail. And we are again at Mount Pleasant Street, where it used to go over top of the tracks. And this picture here was taken there, and very likely at the time when the change was made to run it underneath the tracks, because you can see construction materials in the background there. This is out on the road looking over at that area, showing Nature's Way in the foreground and Schallers down here. And I just point out the fact there's a lot of good parking there if you want to do a trip down the southwest branch following the trail, the Five-Star Trail. There's a lot of interesting stuff along there. Notice that Nature's Way has a sign that says Paradise Village Shops. Of note here is the fact that this area of town was once called Paradise, and it was once an independent borough known as Southeast Greensburg. And this is mapping from the time that we're looking at, around 1925, when the road has finally been put underneath the railroad tracks. We can see things like Nature's Way, which was a store, general store then, and in this building over here, they were making cement blocks, and they were selling building supplies, and back here they were mining coal. This was West Penn's substation. This had been Walker Lumber Company, and it was being used for storage at this point. Over here is a building that's also still there, and it was they were making ice cream there. This was the company that was making ice cream, and it was one of the unfortunate accidents where a vehicle was caught going across the tracks. In this case, the train had dragged the vehicle the whole way down to where Schallers Bakery would be built. Wib Albright shared this with me, and he told me that this is right where Schallers Bakery would be built later. And that's Will Johnston. He wrote a book called My Own Main Street, and in that he talks about this very stretch of tracks, and he adds a bit of local color, taking this industrial area and giving it some life, showing us some of the people there. The 4:30 Cokes, slow-moving, grunting trains were puffing up the steep grade, and we listened for Lou Henry's whistle. Now we have a picture of Lou Henry here. Lou Henry, the engineer, leaning against his locomotive. Back, he's the guy on the left. We always knew it, and the whole town knew the why of it. Lou had a flirtation with the prettiest girl in paradise, and he was accustomed to begin whistling way down by the county home, his blasts growing in volume as he neared Huff Station. At Paradise, he always took his hand from the whistle cord to wave to the belle of those parts, Miss Angie, who was always at the window with a radiant smile for him. And we move on to see a picture of the area from 1890. Paradise over here on this side of the tracks. And over on this side of the tracks, right south of where the Mount Pleasant Street was going over, was a little station called Beerer's Station, which was probably not much more than a whistle stop. And this is a 1901 view, part of T.M. Fowler's view of Greensburg. Right up here is the place where they used to generate electricity. And just down the tracks a bit was a brewery that I have indicated, and we're going to take a few looks at that. And this is Paradise over here on this side of the tracks. We're looking south in this view. This is from up on the hill, and this is the brewery. Rather large, significant building with a big smokestack, and the southwest branch ran right beside it. It's down in the valley there. You don't see it. But that building was there at least into the 1970s when I recall it. That's my version of it. I couldn't find a good photograph, so I put this together from what I could find. mapping and so on. And when Prohibition was enacted, most people who ran breweries simply followed the legislation and stopped producing beer. But these people at Star Brewery were not among that group. They, for some reason, decided that there was no good reason for them to stop brewing beer, and they kept making it. And they made it and shipped it by night up to Ludwig and put it in a warehouse where it was probably taken out on the railroad, on the trains, on the railroad. And in 1922, there was one of the biggest busts of illegal alcohol in Pennsylvania when they busted the Star Brewery warehouse up in Ludwig. This is Jim Barclays' version of what is right there right now. This is a place that makes cement blocks, and it's located where the old brewery used to sit. That's a shot I did of the office of the old brewery, showing interesting details on the roof and in the brickwork. Seems like somebody there had some architectural sense. And this was the place in the 1960s. This is the brewery here. That's Walthour Lumber Company up there. And they were using the old brewery as a place to sell gases. They sold gases like oxygen to hospitals and to welders and to various industrial operations. And we have here more or less a summary showing the area we're looking at. This is West Penn's substation. This is present tense. This is now. And this is Pennzoil that has this area where they store and deliver their petroleum products. And here's Nature's Way. And that's the place that used to be Walthour Lumber and is now a place Allegheny Forklift operates out of there. This is Schallers. And this is the place or part of the cement block producing operation that used to be where, that is the location where the old brewery sat, but it's no longer there. And this brings us full circle, and it's time to say so long until next time. So we'll see you again.